One more to go. Praise be to Yong. Maybe next week. But that's the new emote that we're going to have, man. I'm J-Hell. That's Heatwave. We're back here. We got one more series to go. It's going to be University of Cincinnati coming up here in a second versus Siena Heights. And almost ready. Almost there.
Oh, that last game, that last series, oh, fantastic. I hope this one, it's not going to be the same when it comes to the deck lists. However, even our first series was a great back and forth. So here for Cincinnati, we're going to introduce you to their team here. They have Cylinder, Economics, String Being, Electrical Engineering, Technology, and Josh, Construction Management. We're going to check in on these guys, see how they're doing. They're repping the red.
They have like all the tools to start a new business together. Future Hearthstone champions and global icons, man. Duke of Ham, he's studying history. I'm stuttering, apparently.
Wait, who's stuttering?
Bubs, B-Hubs, he's in business. Bruh, it's chat. Bruh. Oh. Well, they got a fire back there, man. Guys, put that out.
That is one heck of an esports arena.
Dude, that is what's
sweet.
This is Siena? Okay. My goodness.
Sweet.
They got some nice jerseys. That's a nice room, man.
Yeah. If you're looking to do esports, Siena Heights, man.
There's a
just,
lot.
Just based off that,
I
I don't need to know anything else. Just that room was cool, man.
Yeah, it's like, look, guys, I know you're in here, you're playing, you're practicing, but we're gonna be on camera. Just go ahead and leave. So that's cool. Here's our decks over here. Warrior banned out on one side, Shaman on the other. Warrior let through on one side, Shaman let through on the other. Everything else feeling pretty normal. This not going to have the same type of deck builds that we saw last, but this is more of I guess of what you're used to seeing.
Yeah, well, here we see the we're not going to bring priest strats. Both of these teams did not bring it, assuming that we did have Cal yesterday that said that they didn't bring it purely because of comfort picks. Yeah. However, when it comes down to it, not bringing priest because people are either already going to be planning on banning it or targeting it. So why not just not bring it and try to beat them other ways?
That was kind of the strategy throughout the night. I mean, we saw the rogue play earlier, just have success, something I think we don't normally expect to see coming into this. So it will be interesting to see if that is a continued trend or maybe it kind of bounces back. People are like, well, if they didn't bring it last week, then maybe we bring it back next week. But
even that rogue list, the whole reason kind of why you bring rogue, sure, it's aggressive, but sap is one heck of a card versus priest, and they didn't even draw it. So as long as you're playing aggressive early game stuff or stuff that can fight for the board early, it has a chance first. But you know what? We're not going to play any priests now. So both of these teams choosing to bring out their singleton hunter lists, which both of them are kind of there to target priest, but with no priest on either side, both of them choosing, hey, let's get this deck out of the way right away.
What do you make of Flare being included here?
Great tech against the Hunter. There's so many secrets that can get played. So we see Flare in the University of Cincinnati list. It's an incredibly powerful tech card in this matchup. So just based off deck lists alone, you have to give it to Cincinnati here without even seeing anything else, not knowing how they play, not knowing anything. Just looking at the lists, that is just a tech card purely targeted against Hunter.
I'm ready to see it, man. Just as much as I'm ready to see some early tracking.
Oh, yes. Oh, I need to tell Twitch chat. So Tommy said that if there was ever a team that plays a turn 1 tracking, he will cut to black and just let you guys not watch anything compared, or rather than have you guys watch a team that plays a turn 1 tracking. That happened. Our director here of production at TESPA Collegiate Champs said that he would rather just cut to black than see someone play turn 1 tracking.
It's gonna happen now. I just feel
Virginia Tech now is literally just going to run 2 trackings.
They're like, wait a minute, guys, we're still watching
for it. Now we know that's the new meta buster. here is just, you know what, if you don't want people to see you lose, you're losing, you just bring Hunter at the end and just turn one tracking.
You know, I want to, we talk about mirror matches sometimes, we get them. It's not uncommon. This isn't these Hunter decks and the secrets, and Flare is fantastic, as you said, but I know you love Warrior versus Warrior mirror matches. It's very compelling to you. I still find these to be the most. We had this debate, I think, yesterday. I mean, this here, to me, Flare is such a game changer to the dynamic of this mirror match. I mean, I can't help but wonder, like, if that, when and if that happens, that's just going to be the turning point of this, and it takes the, I guess, the guessing game out of it a little.
Well, so it depends on where Flare would come down. It is only one card, and it is only going to be removing secrets that generally people know how to play around. I do say that almost instantly regretting saying it, knowing that we've been playing around. There has been less than Grandmaster level of play, which we expect at this level, but it's a lot of learning, a lot of really great stuff going on otherwise.
The one thing I always like to put into perspective of these students is they are students. They have full-time responsibilities to further their career outside of gaming, but it's an awesome, awesome opportunity that they get to do it through here, TESPA, and they don't get to have the same full-time commitment. So the fact that they play as well as they do on camera and with the time that they have, I think is amazing. And, you know, kind of like Siena Heights, they have an esports, you know, division that is supporting that style to allow students to do more than just go to school, and they get to do a lot more. I think that's awesome.
Definitely. I think something that we really need to focus on with the Flare as well is if it's hitting a bunch of secrets, it's obviously a ton of value. But if it comes out after Zul'jin, or if they draw it later than the initial Subject 9 come out, or the initial like onslaught of secrets, post Zul'jin, Flare basically negates a ton of value that Zul'jin brings to the table. So I think to answer your question, Jay Howe, Flare, it all depends on when it's drawn.
Opportunistic. And
then using it to leverage as much value that you can get from it in a single turn. So there's going to be times where you can get 3, 4, 5 secrets from it, and that's a huge turnaround. So
that's my new go-to now.
Or, because it is a spell, Cincinnati can actually get Flare and use it early to remove some secrets, but then immediately after, or when their opponent plays Zul'jin, they can respond with their own Zul'jin. So because they include Flare, they can almost counteract their opponent's most powerful turn just by playing around, just by saving on or holding on to their own Zul'jin. Normally you want to play it as soon as you can after you get a bunch of spells out, but now they can use it as like a counter card, which is very strong.
Well, the way things are going, we might not even get there. Things moving quickly.
Yeah, there's a lot of minions on board, a lot of them hitting face. See another situation here where Leok is incredibly good. Being able to give +1 attack to every one of these minions. There's the Huffer. It's almost telling Cincinnati to race. It's just saying, race, go face, race. Bit of a missequence there. They could have kept an extra 2-1 on the board. Secret Keeper does read whenever a secret is played. However, it might also be just next level to play around something like Unleash the Hounds. They do have one in their hand. Their opponent doesn't in their hand. But you know what? Maybe it's just in their head that they don't want to give their opponent more minions. I don't think that that's actually, you know, the case and or good, but maybe it's a thing.
Could be. No matter what, every opportunity is a learning opportunity. We'll keep it at that.
Amen. Praise Yogg.
Praise Yogg, man. I want somebody tonight that was watching this broadcast, when they go and they play a Yogg deck just to have some fun, that right before they do it, they make the exact same hand movement. Be glorious.
I mean, I've seen a lot of prayer hands. I've seen a lot of people just looking up to the sky. I've seen a lot of hands on the face just rocking back and forth. But you know what? Yes, I want to see people look at this game and say, I want to do exactly what that guy did.
I'm in, man. I mean, look, if I didn't have to go home and, you know, sleep and wake up tomorrow, I'll do it. Tonight I won't.
I mean, hey, Jeho, you have a stream. I mean, you can just do it all the time.
Nah.
Praise Yogg.
Nah.
Before every game.
Just the entire time.
Right before your final match of the day.
Going face here, man. Going super face, explosive traps. Hold on, man.
Super face. Is that a thing?
Yeah, it actually is. As of about 10 seconds ago.
Good to know. Rat Trap is still the secret on the side of Cincinnati. So if we play too many cards on Siena Heights, which it looks like they're going to, they do not play around Rat Trap.
You could see the reaction on their face when they realize, like, all right.
And the flare from Markshot.
Wow.
3 secrets gone. That wasn't even the hard run flare.
Wow.
Flare deck.
I didn't expect it to play out like that. I thought, you know, the flare would. He's just casually. What is he eating? Peanut butter?
I'm gonna say that was peanut butter.
Dude, just like he's like, wow, they just did that.
Nom.
Scooping it up some peanut. Like he just played it hands down. He's like, done.
Yeah.
Done. All right, look, if you're playing Yogg,
he looks like
you get done. You beat your opponent. You have your peanut butter.
It's almost like he like raised Winston or something from Overwatch. He almost looks like that scientist. He's got the glasses. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. You ever see any TV shows? Anybody ever tell you look like anybody?
Never. I have never. No one has ever told me that I look like anyone, Jeho. I don't know what you're talking about.
Clean deck. I didn't expect Flare to have that type of value. I mean, it was clinical. It was robotic. I mean, it was just everything that you expected it to be when you looked at it square in the face and you said, "I think this is where it's going to have the value."
Yeah, it got three secrets.
It literally just said game over.
But at the same time, the game was already over because they triggered Rat Trap. So,
yeah, it was just all right. Done.
Boom. So it wasn't even the hard run flare, but you know what? That's the value of flare in that matchup.
I like it.
Game
Warrior
ending.
here now.
Ooh, this is one of the classic matchups of this meta. We have the Control Warrior versus the Quest Druid. There's a lot of debate, Jeho, about which one of these decks should win this matchup. But when it comes down to it, one of the key cards that the Druid is going to be looking for to be able to keep building boards that the Warrior has to deal with is Nourish. They need the card draw. They need fuel to be able to do their powerful, powerful things.
Slightly different than the deck we saw earlier, but pretty normal across the board. Nomi. Against the Warrior, we know we're going to be going long. We know we're going to be going late. This very well could be Nomi deciding factor. And if you're on the side of Siena Heights, you know that's there. That's the threat.
Yeah, you do see this this Druid list from Cincinnati does not run the Singleton, Zephyrs the Great, and Least the Enlightened package. Instead, it is running double Power of the Wild, Keeper Staladris. It has a Druid of the Scythe, and it has double Tending Tauren along with the heavy end or the top end of Chef Nomi and Cenarius. So this is a deck that isn't quite all in on beating a Warrior, but it also has a ton of tools to be able to keep populating the board and buffing it.
This place is
But without Elise the Enlightened, it doesn't have the true, incredibly powerful late game of being able to keep refilling their hand of those most powerful cards, of keep getting Chef Nomi after Chef Nomi after Chef Nomi.
I think that's probably the most surprising part to me. See if it holds up. I mean, you know, the Keeper Steladris is an interesting card with, you know, placement time, what you've got, but just the late game is going to be very, very interesting, and you know it's getting there. Like it's an inevitability here that Warrior's just going to drag you into the trenches, and if Elise isn't there, see if they can manufacture enough.
Yeah, this deck almost seems like it's stuck between the two sides of Druid list that we've seen so far. It's not the greedy, super high-end Druid list that we've been seeing in the past, and it's not what we just saw from last series of purely being able to fight off aggro. Instead, it has aggro tech, but also has some late game too, so not as focused as other Druids that we've seen.
Well, you just saw that laser shoot back, so that is a Tomb Warden in hand that is currently at a 5/8. Quest is done. Let's see.
Yeah,
they've got to get that out.
Yeah, seeing the laser go off on Armadillo, you have to answer it. You cannot let it get 2 procs, because if there's not just even one Tomb Warden, but even 2 or 1 in a Ziliax, that is something that there's just too much health that the Druid can't deal with without some miracle. So, rightfully so, Star falling, the Armadillo clearing the board.
Continuing to populate the board.
There's a lot of glowy stuff in our hand if you're Cincinnati.
Yeah, but it's not exactly... I mean, Hidden Oasis is something, you know, we saw the value without the Elise. This time, you know, the health value is there. But are you going to need it later game?
Yeah, but with all that glowy stuff, Jay-How, you also have Keeper Steladris.
Yeah.
And you're able to get more value from those cards than you would normally otherwise. However, these aren't the cards that you really want to get the copies of. You really want to get copies of things like from Power of the Wild, being able to buff your board and produce damage. Getting copies of Wrath, or getting the singular copies of Wrath, the non-choose one versions, isn't going to do much against a Control Warrior. Restless Mummy, one of my favorite cards in Warrior, if not my favorite card in Warrior. Should be yours too.
What about Oasis? When we talk about Keeper Steladris, I know Power of the Wild, obvious. There. What other options when we look at this stage of the game? There's not a lot going on.
So Keeper Steladris actually only works with spells.
That is true. Yes.
It would be fantastic if you're able to get copies of this like buffing effect or summoning more minions or all that fun stuff. However, Keeper Steladris is laser targeted on things that buff boards, or at least that's what you're going to be wanting him in here. Or if you were going against aggro, copying a Wrath is great. You can then use it to kill another minion, draw another card. You get to use your mana at more removing effects, and then buying time for your big tempo swings. However, the only really big choose one spells in this list are Nourish, which we don't have yet, and
Hidden Oasis is what they settle on,
and Power of the Wild, which doesn't really do much. Yeah, so now they can play a 6-mana 6/6 with Taunt, which, you know, isn't a good card, I'll be so bold to say, or a 6-mana Heal 12, which also isn't a good card. So a tempo Keeper Steladris that kind of fills their hand with, how do I put this? Not very good cards. Doesn't seem like a winning play here.
Well, the buffed up 2 Morden comes down.
But now they have the rats coming out. They might need to keep an eye on their hand size. Keeper Steladris is going to generate only 1 of these spells because of the draw effect. So it does only get the Solar Wrath, the deal 3 damage version, not the deal 1 draw card.
What if?
They're in a pickle. It's almost like you've got options, but maybe...
Yeah, so here, the swipe is able to allow the Ancient to value trade. But everything that they're doing right now isn't really having a very strong effect on the board.
But I feel like against other classes, right? Like this is more valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, it's like, well, this is what we brought. I mean, look, it's game 1. Game 2, I should say.
Yeah, compared to, say, the Druid list last game, that had the Singleton package, the Zephyrs and Elise, that it can go infinite, basically, with healing itself with the Hidden Oasis and getting Flabinus Floop and going and going and going and keep populating the board. With this deck, and that deck also had a better game against early game stuff because of all the earlier drops and more removal. Again, this one just seems like almost like a cop-out. It's just kind of between 2 worlds, and in a tournament setting, this might be better on the ladder. But right now, kind of see why tournament decks are a little bit different than ladder decks.
It's just such a different feel right now. Normally, you know where the decisions lie, you know where it's at, but the copies that have come in, as you said, maybe not the most ideal. And just trying to get control.
Yeah, that Keeper Steladris, the more that I think about it, it definitely seems like it just seems like more and more of a strange inclusion than anything else. Mostly because you have to spend the mana that you used for that full card earlier, which already is not the best tempo play because you pay for the choose 1 effect in the card text. So when it comes down to playing it again or playing the less good versions, all these aggro decks that it would be theoretically better against are still beating you up faster than you can play your cards. So, Plague of Wrath. Oh man, you see the head nods coming out from Siena Heights. That was a disgusting plague.
A lot of damage on the board represented. A lot of damage instantly gone.
Poof. Plague Lord nommed that board. Speaking of Plague Lords, have you been poking your head into the single-player content that's been released recently, Jayhow?
I've been grinding, man, just playing as many games as I possibly can. Single-player options sitting there waiting for me, but right now I'm grinding so hard.
Been hearing some good stuff about it. A lot of people liking it. It's turn 10, Jayhow. But we don't. It looks like we're saving the Omega Devastator for the larger boards of things like Cenarius. possibly even the other hidden Oasis cards and things of that nature. Because Restless Mummy does deal with the Ancient cleanly, but also doesn't develop as many stats on the board. So Siena Heights playing the control game, using their premium removal later than just a 4-mana rush minion.
You could see they were considering Nourish and trying to draw. Right? Just every time there's been a threat presented, the Control Warriors have been able to handle it entirely. And you mentioned holding onto that Omega Devastator now with scenarios on the board.
But even better, they don't even need to play the Omega Devastator.
Doctor?
Boom, mad genius. But this deck does have board buffs with things like Power of the Wild. They can have the Libidinous Floop in hand as well. That would be another Cenarius. So they see a threat of a very powerful board, and instead of removing one big thing, they're like, hey, this is still too scary for me. 3 scary 5 me. Lead speak, you know.
You can't, like, day one, was it day one somebody said their name on Battle, it was like Proto 55, and you're like, what is Proto 55?
You're not wrong. That was our project manager here. Good dude. I wasn't thinking about it, man. I was thinking Hearthstone.
But a week later, you're talking to me in lead speak.
No, that wasn't actually lead speak. Let's be real.
I mean, I don't even know what you said. I'm going to be honest.
Oh, good. So, all right. I'm glad my co-caster is definitely paying attention to the
I
words that are
listen when
coming
you
out of my
talk about
mouth.
the game.
But when I'm not talking about the game.
else.
Good. Thank you,
Give me
JL.
the good stuff, man. Give me the good stuff.
All right. The tutorial in Hearthstone is awesome. It teaches people things. Are you listening now, Jayhow?
What's that?
No, that's what I thought. Still not listening to me even when I'm talking about the game. Classic Jayhow.
Classic.
All right, so we have another turn that we can play Dr. Boom Mad Genius, but without a wide board and a target that we can still shield slam. I'm looking at the rest of the list. This is going to be the largest minion left in the list. Is going to be a 6/6 unless there's a board buff coming down with the Power of Wild on like the Chef Nomi later. So definitely worth the shield slam there.
Got 8 cards still in deck before we can really start getting excited about Nomi.
This is something that Siena Heights has to hold on to, is this brawl.
Yeah.
They have absolutely no way of dealing with the Nomi other than that brawl. They can end up tanking damage and doing things like Omega Devastator and Super Collider now drawn to limit the damage done. But if Nomi, if they even have a few minions or a few of the Grease Fire Elemental stick, it's going to spell trouble for Siena Heights. I really like developing the Super Collider here, Jayhow, because while you have all this armor, you can start cleaning up minions and just go from there.
We're gonna have to echo this. Get the Warpath out.
Warpath is, they're not going to, oh, it looks like they are. They're going to use their Warpath all the way. It's not going to clear the board, though, so they're going to take 12 damage here.
As you said, able to tank some of the damage.
Tending Torn here, sticking on 2 minions. Then, it's going to play around the Kaboom hero power, dealing 1 damage to the entire enemy board and or all enemy characters. Nourishing first, prioritizing card draw, getting more gas. This is what Cincinnati wanted to see. Nourish at this time is perfect if you're a Cincinnati fan. Going to command the second Warpath play. And here it comes. 4 Warpaths and a Kaboom Hero Power. That Kaboom Hero Power squeezes out. But no, looks like they're going to develop the Town Crier instead. Sorry, I thought there was a 5 health minion. They only need 4. And the Town Crier draws Ziliax.
We're getting to the fun parts, man. We knew it was going to go late.
It's almost like it's Control Warrior or something.
It's almost like it's Control Warrior. We're still waiting, man. Smell what the chef is cooking?
Grease. Nothing but grease.
Again, sounds like Kentucky.
Mm.
It's just now we've seen Cincinnati produce threat. We've seen it cleared up. We know there's still one more brawl to go, as you said, needing to hold on to that. Both Warpaths are down. One brawl has been used.
The hard run Armadillo is drawn.
Job's done.
With a Tomb Warden and Ziliax in hand. And the Tomb Warden, Omega Devastator, and Ziliax. I mean, Ziliax comes with Rush. They both come with Rush because of the Dr. Boom passive effect.
The Earth Mother was busy.
Running out of cards. Siena Heights has been able to weather the storm and hold on to the brawl still. Cincinnati, without running things like Unleash the Enlightened, the only way that they really ever beat this deck is by being able to provide enough threats earlier, so then they have to use Brawl. Excuse me, both copies of the Brawl prior to playing Nomi. And this isn't like Nomi Priest. They don't have Seance. They can't play multiple copies of Chef Nomi here.
Well, that same threat. There's going to be another Tomb Warden. Gets the 1 buff. And now, out of cards.
Yeah, you see Cincinnati basically conceding here. Saying, hey, if you have Brawl, we lose this game. Oh, they did draw the Flute, though. So they do have the other Nomi. Next turn. So not over yet. Once again, I'm just calling things too early. But we do have Tomb Warden that has been buffed up to 5/8. And the Super Collider charge going to kill off 2 Greasefire Elementals.
Be curious if we get a chance to talk to them on this deck build.
How about
This is normally where we see this deck really start to shine in the later stages, but now it's getting to the very end, and it's running out of staying power.
Yeah, I was counting a lot of damage there, and it's with the Ziliax and the Tomb Wardens. It's going to be closer than I thought it was mere moments ago, mostly because I just didn't choose to look at the Libidinous Fluke in the Druid's hand.
What's the I mean, you need the taunt. got 2 Morden. You know you're going to get 2 down. Frightened Flunky there as well.
This is where I'm not even necessarily thinking about too much of what Siena Heights is doing here. Remember that's Keeper Steladris? Keeper Steladris with the Power of the Wild would have really made the late game here for Cincinnati that much more powerful. Being able to buff their minions up just an extra +1/+1 here gives the 2 Morden a lot less potential. Being able to punch through even if they don't attack with 1 clean swoop. So that's where my head was at. I'm just thinking about everything that was happening during this game that could have gone differently. With the swipe and Power of the Wild.
Of course it's the right way.
Trying to see what else is in this warrior list. That might be game. They're not going to be able to deal with this. The swipe is going to come down on the Frightened Flunky. And they're going to be at 2 health.
What if?
Or sorry, 1 health?
2.
Yeah, 1 health because swipe deals 1 damage to the face as well. Yeah, yeah.
Let's see. Time goes short.
They do have Ziliax. But this is the final board presented by Cincinnati. But there's no more board clears left. But this is a massive heal here. But I don't think it's going to be enough. Let's do some quick math. This is going to kill the 7/7, but also heal up for 9. They're going to be at 10 health, and it's going to soak up multiple attacks. So they're going to heal up out of range for this Druid to get the job done. The Druid cannot kill this Omega Devastator with buffed up Ziliax combo in less than 1. They have to sink in 2 attacks. And they get the armor up with a shield slam in hand with the following turn. Siena Heights able to hold on. Wow. The Druid completely out of steam.
Wow.
Siena Heights tying up the series 1-1. Control Warrior taking out the Druid.
Just absolutely taking them and just holding them underwater. It's like, see who can survive longer.
Win them all.
Yeah, Cincinnati gonna be looking back at this saying, is there something we could have done differently? Was there something that we could have put in our deck? Was the Zephyr's package worth it? Was holding on to something like Keeper Steladris going to be worth it later on to get more damage buff? Which, I think now that I'm looking at it, they were 1 damage off lethal. And Keeper Steladris got cleared for free early on in the game.
I was asking you, like, when do you hold on to that?
Yeah,
We'll see.
Power of the Wild. That would have meant the difference. They would have been able to push more damage if they would have gotten it with Power of the Wild.
We'll see if they can run it again. They'll have another opportunity. It's tied up 1-1 here. We're going to game number 3 in just a moment. We're going to a quick break for now. We'll see you in just a few minutes.
Powered by Intel Core i7 processor.
All tied up 1-1 here. Siena Heights taking on Cincinnati, and right now, you know, we saw losing steam against the Warrior deck. No shame in that. That's just how it goes. Still have the Druid and the Shaman on the other side. That Hunter that we saw in game number 1, a possibility for Siena Heights, but also a Druid of their own. Curious if they're going to try and run back that Hunter, or maybe we might get a Druid.
A Hunter does have a very high win rate right now in the tournament and on ladder. It's an impressive deck all around. And they just saw the opposing deck, Cincinnati's Druid, just kind of drop the ball. And their Druid is very similar to it. They do not have the Elise, Zephyrs, and Floop combos. It's just kind of the same kind of thing. They have some tech against aggro and some late game. So here we're going to get into the differences because we do have the mirror coming at us.
It's surprising, I guess, that both the Elise not there.
Yeah, so the main differences in these two lists is that Siena Heights is not running Nomi. They're running 2 Druids of the Claw, which I'm not quite sure if I'm a huge fan of, but we're going to see how it performs in the mirror here. They're running 2 Mark of the Loa.
Yeah.
2 Druid of the Scythe, which Cincinnati's running 1 of.
Somebody turn the lights on at the esports.
Oh, that cool room just got a whole less not cool. Fluorescent lights, man. Not my favorite. I don't know about you, Jay. How? Do we have fluorescent lights in Kentucky?
Well, no, candlelight. What are you talking
okay.
about? Fluorescent.
I know it's a big word. I know.
It happens, man. It happens. It's the nature of the beast. But, you know, bringing 2 slightly altered decks here and leaving out some of the cards, I am curious. It feels like the Siena Heights deck built to win maybe a little bit quicker than what we saw previously. So, you know, the Nomi build and getting there, it might not be necessary the way this goes and cracking through the same way that you can't versus the Warrior, but here's one of those card differences that you mentioned, that Mark of the Loa.
Well, this is also a card difference that we didn't really notice. Cincinnati has chosen to include Questing Explorer over the Crystal Merchant. So they're saying that anytime you play Crystal Merchant, it's only going to draw 1 card on average anyway. And then, not only that, they are saying that they like the 2/3 body over the 1/4 body, which seems a little suspect, especially because they're running things like Power of the Wild. Being able to buff a 1/4 into a 2/5 is a lot better than being able to buff a 2/3 into a 3/4. Especially when you're fighting off aggro. And then the Crystal Merchant can also draw you more cards. So,
Which is what we're seeing here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it doesn't get any better than this to see it going face to face right out of the gate here. So, Crystal Merchant will get taken down next turn by the Explorer.
Yeah, the Siena Heights list does have these Druid of the Claws that are just more mid-range minions that are able to fight for the board right away and develop threats and push face damage if it's just a clear board. So when it comes to this mirror matchup, the Siena Heights list seems a little bit more refined, just being able to beat up another mid-range quest-based deck.
We've gotten to 5 so fast because everybody's like, well, I can't really do anything, so I'll end. All right, you end. We'll both get there. We'll meet up in the middle. We're already in there to start making the plays.
Yeah, really like Tending Torrent here. Keeping the Oasis Surger buffed up slightly to make sure that swipe isn't an easy answer to it. They could have played a Mark of the Loa, but that didn't fill out their mana enough. If they nourished first, that didn't give them enough mana to work with afterwards. So Tending Torrent fits the curve, buffs the minion, most stats on board. That's Hearthstone for you.
I like it, man. I like it. I take all this home. I do exactly what you say. I win like 90% of my games, and the 10% I lose, it's probably because you told me something else.
Yeah, just you can blame me for anything you want, Jay.
90% win rate, though.
Hey, but if you lose, you lose.
I don't ever remember losing. You got to have that mentality, man.
If
Just never realizing what made you lose seems like a terrible way to get better at a game.
I actually never lose.
All right.
I still don't remember ever losing. Just the way it goes, man. Starfall. Clean up some of this.
Yeah, but not all of it. There's going to be larger minions, and that 7 damage AoE really is going to be a huge thing, especially when there's stuff like Druid of the Claws and the Mark of the Loa buff. That was the last way that they're going to deal with any high health minion. And Siena Heights Druid list has lots of ways of producing multiple high health minions.
curious.
Yes, it was probably the best play that they had there.
But it's only going to get more difficult.
Yeah, it's only going to get more difficult. But you know what? Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you can make all the right plays, and because of what you included in your deck and what you brought to the tournament ahead of time, those decisions are really what are happening. It's not so much your play, but also your prep that ends up making the decision or making everything matter. So.
The Hidden Oasis will establish control for now.
Another War Druid Lodi
Yeah.
is incredibly powerful. Wrath now is going to kill off the 6/6. A 2-mana card killing a 6-mana minion. And this is pushing a lot of damage.
They're opting not
to save the Wrath. I think they... Okay, so it wasn't pushing damage, so they decided to keep the other War Druid Lodi in stealth to prioritize setting up lethal for this following turn because they do have 2 Druids of the Claw. Okay, so even though that would have pushed 4 extra damage, they have burst in hand, and they don't need to reveal the stealth minion. So this is one of those plays that both plays are probably winning plays, but when it comes down to it, they're taking the conservative route, which is ultimately going to be the better one, as long as they still win. Ferocious Howl might have something to say about that. It's going to put them up to 22. But Mark of the Loa and Druid of the Claw is lethal every time. Siena Heights taking back the series lead, or at least leading the series for the first time, I should say, Jay Howe. 2-1 over Cincinnati.
Boy, this was, I said, all right, this is the one. This is designed to be more aggressive early, to win early. Before you get to that, I did not expect that this is in a resounding fashion. They just dominated that.
Yeah, that list was, instead of the kind of halfway between list that I would say Cincinnati has with trying to deal with aggro and also having big stompy stuff for control decks, it seemed like even though Siena Heights version wasn't necessarily a big stompy stuff or all anti-aggro, they really developed that mid-game. So they said, hey, we're going to have a lot of more mid-game, big, meaty threats and be able to push damage when we need it. And in that mirror, it really, really performed.
That looked really good.
Yeah.
And now Cincinnati, they could go back to that Druid one more time. They know that the Hunter was the first deck played, and they know pretty much they took that down in game 1, so they'll know what to deal with in terms of what cards were brought here. So we're looking at Druid, or we're looking at Shaman to try and get... I mean, one way or another, that Druid's going to have to get through there.
That it is. I really think... I am a huge fan of the Shaman list.
Okay.
I think that Shaman can beat any deck. When it's a very difficult deck to play because there's a lot of different options. Lackey generation can give you a lot of strange situations or different situations where you need to know the ins and outs of the deck. So I really think that Shaman is the way to go here, and it looks like they do too.
All right. If you say it's correct, sir, I know it is.
I'm not Hunter Ace or Bunny Hopper or Cora.
They're pretty good.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Understatement of the century.
I just want to bring up something from that last game too, Jay Howe. I think we talked about it yesterday where we had those aggro warrior decks with the slight variation of cards that seemed to make all the difference. The same thing happened with those druid lists, I think. When it came to the Crystal Merchant versus the Questing Explorer, it's just that one little thing, that one extra card draw, that one extra minion that sticks, compared to like the Temple Berserker and the Aggro Warrior compared to an Amani Berserker. It's one little thing that can completely change matchups and how games are decided.
It really shows. I mean, look, as you said, there's a far cry between ladder and what we have available here. And when you can prepare, I mean, you know what to expect, but I love the fact that these teams are coming in with something different. Last week was very much like there was some wild stuff, there were some different decks, but there was a lot of very meta, and now we get meta with some flavor, a little spice, and that spice is really holding strong here in week 2.
Yeah, you see Siena Heights running Hunter's Pack. This is a very slow card. It's not going to do it. It doesn't do anything on the board right away. It costs 3 mana. This is a card that really shores up that late game control deck matchups. Things like the Warriors against the Mirror match in Hunter.
I must ponder.
Or even this Shaman list. I think looking in the hand, we do see a Swamp Queen Hagatha in the hand.
Can sit on that.
That is it's a really value-oriented card in a deck that doesn't really ever require that much more value, because Shudderwalk by itself refills your hand and allows you to keep going. It's very rare to see a Swamp Queen Hagatha presented in a list, but it does give you some extra reach and some extra value plays if you're running against a lot of control stuff.
So similar to what we saw earlier, Rat Trap down.
Yeah, great card against Shaman.
Yep.
Perplexing.
Great
Gotta
card in
have the
general.
discipline. That was actually, I mean, well, that was the turning point. That was the fatal turning point for one of our games earlier.
Yeah, it was game 1 of this series. Was it not? Or am I already forgetting? Yeah, game 1 of this series. It was Hunter v. Hunter. Seems like such a long time ago, Jay Howe.
It's because of that Warrior game. Well, those Warrior games, man, it makes you change. Like, is today yesterday? When did that game start? Was it 2 hours ago?
There may or may not have been a time where I was here last season and I was casting with Dr. Jikanicki and Cora, and they had multiple control warrior games, basically not back-to-back, but back-to-back matches, and I may or may not have taken a nap during one of those games, just because, you know, I have to be rested for when I go on next kind of thing. So that was a thing.
Ooh, lights back on. Siena, the minute those lights changed to fluorescent, they started winning. Look, if they don't win, we know the root cause of everything.
I think they turned off the lights, Jay Howe. There's like a whole other set of lights in there that allow you to like do normal functioning human things and not just play video games. And those are you're here to play video games, look into the monitor, and forget life for a little bit. Screen or lights.
Every day of my life, man. Job's done, quest done. Now, as you said, as you pointed out earlier, you know, knowing that Rat Trap is there, don't necessarily have to force the cards now that you get the double Battle Cry value. So can continue to have that discipline and still produce in hand and in board.
Yeah, this is where the Shaman is just going to start looking for more value cards to be able to keep pressure up on this Hunter. They have it down to 20. They don't really have a lot of the damage-producing cards in hand yet. However, they have cards that can really start swinging the game in their favor once they're able to get board control. So here you see Siena Heights choosing to play the cybernetic or cybertech chip instead of hero powering. They are choosing, again, that they want to have more value. They want to be able to find more things to play. They're not worrying about the health total of the Shaman. They want to be able to survive right now and then be able to swing back later in the game.
Just like you said, that Hunter's pack. Not looking to get that early one, so we'll play the smaller minion. We'll go ahead and trip that freezing trap.
Leaving Rat Trap as the one remaining trap. Cincinnati's looking at the health total of Rexar here and thinking about going face. This Masked Contender is going to give them an extra card. It soaks up 4 damage. They have a weapon in hand that will be able to deal with the minion right away as well. And here's the decision time. Do we clean up the minion or push face damage? They are noticing that they are, in fact, the beatdown. They are the aggressor. Smork is good.
I mean, they're sitting on that Bloodlust. They know the threat will always be imminent, but Unleash the Beast, timely, will help clean up that board. You're going to hit us, we're going to hit back.
Yeah, 2 damage. Oof. That's a big counterpunch there.
Sometimes you pepper them a little, man. You're like, all right, look, don't hit me. And then you tap, don't hit me. And then you know, you get angry and you unleash like your Zul'Jin and these big cards, and you're like, I told you.
You give him the big axe.
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah, man.
That's just what you do. You just give him the big axe.
You want axe?
I want axe. All right, we're gonna see. We don't have an answer to. Yeah, they know it's the Rat Trap. They're playing around it, not playing their extra lackeys. So they're going to be playing around this all game long. That's 6/6 without having an answer for it immediately. And this is the one downside of Rat Trap is that if your opponent knows what it is and they have the means to play around it, it's no big deal. Especially, too, if they can just kill you next turn. They have Bloodlust in hand.
Yeah.
They do. That is Pressure Plate, though. So if
it's going to kill
Pressure Plate, if Pressure Plate hits the 1/1, it is still lethal. If they go for Bloodlust right here, because this could be Explosive Trap. Cincinnati can YOLO this.
Ooh, can you imagine?
They can also play the Mogashan or the Flesh Shaper first as well, giving them another target. All right, it looks like they're not going to go for lethal. But yeah, that was, what was it? That was a 3 out of 5 chance for lethal if they go for it there. And if they play the Flesh Shaper. So now they're, if you see a pausing look, they expected that to be Explosive Trap. They thought they knew it was Explosive Trap, but Siena Heights dodges a bullet there. It wasn't guaranteed lethal because of Pressure Plate. However, definitely dodging a bullet.
Now they know. Now they know.
But now they also have things like Zephyrs and Ziliax to be able to heal back up. And that was 4 minions on the board. if there's ever any more than that on Cincinnati's side of the board for the rest of the game, I will be shocked. That's going to be, well, actually, I mean, Giggling Adventure is going to have things to say about that. But that's just, that was the best opportunity they had. They had a chance to win. The threat of Explosive Trap.
It's because they threatened them. They said, stop hitting me. Come on, man. I told you.
The Math Contender, definitely hitting them in the face was definitely the turning point there, J-How. You were right.
Look, if it turns around, you can't tell me I'm wrong.
I will never say that you're wrong, J-How.
I mean, off camera you do, because, you know, it's the truth, but that's okay.
I must ponder.
We're getting there, man.
You're right.
See, you didn't say it. Good job, man. Now, knowing that they had an opportunity to present lethal, how do they materialize that now?
Well, now they know it's not Explosive Trap, which means they have 9 mana and they have Giggling Inventor. So that's just, you know, really, really good. Even if they play the worst case scenario there is Unleash the Hounds, and that doesn't even clean up the board. So, oh, but we do have the Plague of Toads coming down. That is going to overload them, but not enough to stop them from playing Bloodlust. So this is more stats on the board. If, even worst case scenario with something like Unleash the Hounds, we did not see what that, what is it, the Dustrov Horror was chosen. But Reign of Toads, not Plague of Toads, but Reign of Toads was chosen, which is probably a better selection or a better choice than that Giggling Inventor turn. However, Brawl is a pretty sweet cleanup for this board. Flame Strike would leave 5 damage.
Yep. They're playing with their backs against the wall. Still daring them, though.
Yeah, worst case scenario, Brawl leaves 5 damage. Best case scenario, or the only scenario for Flame Strike, is it leaves 5 damage. So they're going to Brawl here every time. Let's see who's the strongest. Less Shaper. So, able to save themselves a couple health rather than playing the Flame Strike. All right, we have 7 mana. We want to keep hitting the hero power turn, so the Giggling Inventor isn't as tempting to make me not look at the hand as it was in the last previous turns.
This is probably like the favorite part of my shaman experience is you have so much power in your hero power to just produce, and there's so many different scenarios that you can really present. It produces a problem for your opponent, but it's like, what is the best problem for them and the best solution for us? And they end up going with the Giggling Inventor.
Would you say it's unlimited power?
You know, maybe untapped potential at times, unlimited power here.
I just wanted to get like an evil J-How giving me an unlimited power quote.
I don't think so, man.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Twitch chat, I tried. I'm sorry. Try to get good clips for you, but
it's like
some people aren't
you're
fun.
gonna need some better bait than that, man.
All right, I'll work on it. Baited. All right, here we have an Unleash the Hounds into a kill command here. Deals with a large swath of the board, leaving 2 minions on with 3 attack. However, Bloodlust is 6 damage with 2 minions. That's game. The other secret. Oh, never mind. Other secret is pressure plate. I'm calling things too early again, Jay Howe.
It happened. You've been working hard, man. You've been putting in hours. Look, broadcasts, like, they don't care at home, but I
can
promise
play
you
around
guys,
it, though. They can play more minions first. And, oh, and they also have the life drinker afterwards. They don't bloodless first. But, oh, the double life drinker battle cry right away. That's game. Series is tied up 2-2, Cincinnati. Making me just not count things, not look at the hand. That's just, I believe it's just Cincinnati, just they're eating something with chopsticks that looks like ice cream. I don't know what's going on anymore, Jay Howe.
It's the beauty of Hearthstone. It's there. Life drinker comes through. It's drinking your soul right now, right out, and it's.
I think it was that last series, man. My whole heart and soul just got like eaten up by that Yogg box or something, man.
The Yogg is definitely taken over this broadcast, and guys, we're going to a 5th and final game to close out our week number 2, but we are going to a short break before we come back to see if maybe that Hunter will be able to crack through. We'll be back in just a few moments. Let's come back for the conclusion. We'll be right here. We're by the fire. You can see it. It's blazing back there. It's getting warm over here. We're getting fired up. It's game number 5 here going down. We wouldn't have it any other way. We've got University of Cincinnati. They're taking on Siena Heights. Siena Heights, man, they need to turn them fluorescent lights back on because they're here. trying to get this Hunter to crack through. Haven't been able to, but same can be said about Cincinnati with that Druid deck.
Yeah, this Druid list is just a little bit not quite where it needs to be, but it's still a powerful Quest Druid list. It still has Oasis Surger. It still has all the powerful stuff that Druid can do in the mid game, and it can fight for the early game a little bit more than normal. So this Hunter may not be able to progress or put up enough aggro or like an early game for the Druid to be able to come back and win.
Yeah, I mean, look, we know at the end of it, Chef Nomi's where it's at. He's coming back for the second time, which it's got a halo over it. It's still the best, and we know that it's going to win out. No matter what. Doesn't matter the deck, doesn't matter any individual thing there. I feel it right now. This is it.
I would be shocked to see if Chef Nomi is able to be played in this game.
Yeah, I agree. It probably won't even get there. I believe in it, man. Just the deck. Maybe not Chef Nomi himself, just the
second,
Chef Nomi deck.
You believe in the second copy getting it done.
100%.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this is best one. So, untapped potential. Again, I want to go back to the point you made about questing Explorer. I mean, just considering that an option, right, over Crystal Merchant, still curious.
Well, if only they could go back in like mid-series and say, you know what, maybe those caster guys are right.
Maybe, look, they've clearly practiced it, right? So I give them the benefit of the doubt. These guys are better than me, maybe not better than you. I don't know. I'll put you guys head to head, but I believe, man. I mean, these guys put in time. The time that they have, it's very well thought out. I respect a lot of what they do. This is the one time where I'll say that Crystal Merchant seems pretty good.
Yeah, and here we see the choice of playing the Snake Trap prior to the Freezing Trap here. This is something where they value it looks like, just saying, instead of playing the Freezing Trap, this is going to get killed by the hero power, probably. If you're Siena Heights, you're almost assuming that it's going to get hero powered down. So you're going to get the 3 minions, or you're just, not, and you get double the value from being able to play Mass Contender the next turn. So Siena Heights just gets rewarded for playing Snake Trap instead of Freezing Trap, which Freezing Trap would have done a little bit better job of securing Mass Contender from getting a secret out. Which one was it?
Explosive Trap, my friend.
Not the best against this Druid list, but you know what?
Yeah, normally a little tankier cards early.
Yeah. Pulls another secret out, thins the deck, brings us a little bit closer to Subject 9, drawing all the cards. Feels good.
That's a great start, man. Getting that Mass Contender out early, definitely a great start.
And then here, they almost have to go face. But this just seems like they realize that they messed up last turn, and this is basically saying, man, no, if you're going to be playing around Rat Trap, this is just them banking on swipe the following turn. That's got to be it. So they're saying, we're going to take this damage now, swiping next turn no matter what. It still saved the mana. Okay, I'll give it to... That was them strategically playing into Snake Trap. I like it.
In before they don't swipe.
If they don't swipe here,
I'm kidding.
I will
I'm kidding.
eat my shoe.
There's nothing else for them to do.
I have been making a lot of bold predictions, J-How, throughout today. A lot of things that I've been saying that games have been going one way and then just be eating my foot moments later. However, that was... I don't know why that was the play that I would bet everything on. However, it doesn't get much sweeter than playing Swipe with Quest Druid on 4 mana to complete the quest with a board full of 1/1s and a 4 health minion. That is just a Druid just being in their happy place.
They're welcomed home. Now, untapped potential finish and sitting on Some stronger cards to move forward here. Snip, snap. Get some magnetic effect.
Choosing to get the magnetic for the 4/6 instead of the 2/2/3s. Seems like an interesting choice, mostly because this druid list has a very select few board clears. They only have the couple swipes, the couple starfalls, and nothing really deals with 3 damage very well. So here it does line up very well against the Tending Tauren. But still nothing quite like blow you out of the water powerful. I normally just like having more minions on my board.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, and the Leok being produced here too is also very strong. And here they're choosing to go face against a druid that has things like Hidden Oasis and board buffs.
Yeah. I mean,
This seems incredibly greedy.
I mean, Hidden Oasis sitting there, and that is the explosive trap still, so...
Now how about
I think Siena Heights just assuming that is how they win the game. Or not assuming, but saying that they are behind with a quester that's completed the quest and saying, hey, we have to make something happen. Anything past that, though, seems tough. Seems tough to give that play a nod.
So Subject 9 played, we mentioned the secrets earlier. We saw, was it the earlier game, we saw the hesitation. Previously, they had a chance to play for lethal, ended up finding it later. So we know that they play very cautiously, but I feel like they're in a better position now with this Druid deck than they were in a previous game. Was Cincinnati.
Yeah, this deck is definitely, they have the Tending Taurens right after quest completion. These are the cards that are like ideal for producing boards and not coming back on them. So the Hunter was not able to produce heavier boards earlier. So Tending Tauren is like the perfect card if you're the Druid. It's not, you don't need to come back into the game. All you need to do is start producing boards and have your opponent deal with them. And here, that Tending Tauren also buffs up the other Tending Tauren, dealing a metric trillion ton of damage.
Your wish is my suggestion.
Zephyr is here to save him.
We have a Shadow Flame and a Blizzard, which are the realistic choices. But the Blizzard is the only thing, the Shadow Flame just doesn't do enough.
What a turn of events, man. Not dealing with that board a couple turns ago.
When it comes down to it, though, Siena Heights was not able to get on the board like wide enough or large enough early enough against a Quest Druid deck that's how you got to really leverage it. You either have to be able to clear all their boards like a Control Warrior does, or you need to be producing strong boards that they can't deal with earlier. So we saw the other Druid list be able to get a board that it can't deal with and win. Control Warrior beat it out and clearing everything. But here, the Hunter list fails to get on the board fast enough. And it can't clear boards, as we saw against the quest hunter in the last series, clearing boards is not Hunter's forte.
It's not getting any easier here either.
I know what you did.
We see the Druid of the Claw and a swipe in hand too, which is going to be lethal damage if only one minion sticks.
Well, they should be able to clear this up.
The rage.
Druid of the Scythe gets sniped out of thin air. But then we do have the Wrath coming down, followed by... Let's see what the draw is first before I say anything for certain anymore, J-How.
Yeah, the card draw, one of the more important.
There it is. Druid of the Claw comes down. Like I said, that's right. I know what I'm talking about. Twitch chat. Jeez.
Bringing them down to 6, man. What do they have for this?
They are running
Siena will be able to...
slightly more healing than normal.
Okay. Still holding on.
Freezing Trap seems to be an interesting choice, just because there are no minions on board, and your opponent is going to be trying to kill you. So, and at a high health total, sometimes they might trip up and play multiple cards. Getting a 6/6 on the board would have been a bigger boon to a win condition than freezing a minion that isn't going to attack. The only thing that could have possibly triggered it was the second Oasis Surger.
Card draw and to choose
Another
one.
Tending Tauren. It's no joke.
Time goes short.
There is so much more decision making going on. You can see they're really, really thinking this through. And they're going to hold it.
Got something to hide?
All right, J-How. I've been up for a long time. I've seen a lot of interesting things. Playing around something like a Unleash the Hounds. What? Oh, they did play around Rat Trap there. Okay, I guess I wasn't really paying attention when the word of the expedition came down. So they did play around Rat Trap. But playing 3 bodies on the board, the Rat Trap was still going to connect with one of the minions because they have to keep the board clear. You have Starfall following it up. I don't think that there's going to be very many situations where Tending Tauren is going to be that much better. Or, again, I just need to think about it more, J-How. What's the card next to it?
Which next to the which one?
Next to the
Oh,
Tending
the Tending
Tauren.
Tauren. The Floop.
Yeah.
So I'm over here. I'm looking at the deck here for Hunter, and I'm trying to figure out where their next play is. I mean, they are really starting to come back.
It's going to be close. So Tending Tauren and Flipinous Floop does give a super wide board that can play around things like Rat Trap. But then the Hunter is also turning the corner and really delivering a lot of damage to this Druid. Today has been mind-meltingly impressive, Jay-How. These games have been so incredibly close, with the 3 secrets on the board of Explosive Trap, Freezing Trap, and Rat Trap.
It's almost handcuffing Cincinnati, but now there's one down. They can assume Rat Trap is definitely one of them.
Yeah, but they have the hidden Oasis. Hunter would kill for a card like Hidden Oasis post-quest. Absolutely kill.
Look at
Back
that.
up to 23. Give him the big axe.
Zul'jin here to close it out. Just
It's going to close
well,
it out.
not close, but we've had so much going.
Yeah,
It's only fitting we get a Zul'jin tonight.
we are getting the second Unleash the Beast played with a Unleash the Beast. Sorry, with a Bestial Wrath. Unleash the Beast, Bestial Wrath. That's just an angry wyvern. Wyvern? Wyvern. I can't pronounce anything anymore,
Wyvern.
Jay-How. I blame you.
That's okay. That is A-okay.
Blame Worcester.
Worcester.
Blame Worcester, for sure. All right, so the Explosive Trap makes these 1/1s
Let's see.
not really a threat. However, they can be a threat if they play the Tending Tauren into Flibidinous Floop, because they will survive the Explosive Trap. And it plays around Rat Trap as well.
I like how tense things are getting for Cincinnati. A lot of hand wringing, face rubbing, no peanut butter.
Time goes short.
It's denying value from the Explosive Trap. So choosing not to push extra damage, choosing to develop the board or clear the board rather than prioritizing damage. I like the play a lot. Here we have a Zul'jin turn, which is going to do some major damage to Cincinnati. You see a look of despair. Oh yeah, the Blizzard, Jay-How.
That's right. That did appear.
Oh, and you see a Tundra Rhino come back from that Hunter's pack that was played early. That is charge damage, and that Halaziel in hand becomes an additional 3 charge damage. So now they have a slightly more burst than the Druid would normally be willing to want to deal with. And now they're up to 13 health. The Druid can't deal with that. And the Christmas tree is in full effect, Jay-How. This is this is probably one of the first times that you've seen the full
We
Christmas
saw
tree
it
here. Did we see the
last
full
week,
one?
yeah.
Ah, we did. I guess they just won too fast. Same thing here.
It's
The
like
full
every
Christmas
other
tree is
department store. You
fantastic.
can already buy Christmas decorations.
Can you really?
In September. I don't know, man. I don't go outside. But you know it's real.
It's sad because it's true.
This Hunter deck, just resilient.
I'm exhausted, Jay-How.
I love it.
This is great. Exhausted in the best way possible. This is still going, too. This is not over for either one of these teams. There's still a Chef Nomi. And there's 5 cards left in the Druid deck with 7 cards left in the Hunter list.
The Rhino's here. Says, hey guys, you want to charge?
Extra damage that Cincinnati had no way of preparing for. both Halazeel and the Tundra Rhino, both generated off the Hunter's packs. And now if this Rhino isn't cleared, every one of these Lynxes is charge damage.
I'm running out of cards.
See what they can pull out
But
of.
that's just lethal on the board. These secrets, once again, Freezing Trap is going to stop an Oasis or 2 Oasis Surgers from being able to both connect as well. So that's lethal. One Oasis Surger gets frozen, the other kills off the Rhino. But there's just lethal on board. Snake Trap, the weapon, the hero power, Halazeel.
Time goes short.
That is game. Siena Heights taking it the distance against Cincinnati. 3-2. What a series. Oh, it looks like
They've
we
got
have
a sign?
we have a sign, but they don't know that it's backwards because they're only in college. You guys got to graduate before we can read that. I did see lull though, so lull.
Something
Learn
about
to write backwards, team. Learn to write
yeah.
backwards.
I mean, technically, they should have an option to flip their camera in whatever software it is they're using.
I mean, well, that's what I'm saying is,
so either
they'll
learn
learn
to
next
write
time.
backwards.
or learn to use a webcam. Not to throw shade, but Siena Heights is the match winner. That went
Zul'jin, man.
swimmingly. Zul'jin,
He's good.
big axe. He's got the big axe.
He gets the late game. You know how Zul'jin is.
Gets the late
You got to
game.
keep him under control, man.
You can't keep him under control. There's just, if you're going to play all those secrets, all those spells, some powerful stuff. Can't wait to talk to Siena Heights, though. That was a wonderful win.
That was their
Cincinnati put up a great fight, but
that was their third attempt on that hunter, right? Like they started at the beginning. Was that their third or second attempt?
to be honest, Jay Howe,
It all blends together. That warrior game, man, just changes the dynamic of everything.
a little bit.
We're 5 games in, man. What a beautiful week we had. A highly
That was
entertaining week. I had a lot of fun
great
week 1,
week.
but this week 2, my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what Hearthstone is about, and if this is like this every week, I am very excited because we still have several weeks to go.
This would be the greatest job known to man if every single week was like, even just today. That second match, the first match was intense, a in-school rivalry. Then the second match had a gentleman's agreement to meme, which was super entertaining from play 1 to the end of the last game. And then this went the distance, back and forth, hard-fought battle. Great stuff, Jay Howe.
Just the resiliency of Siena. I mean, there was a lot of back and forth. I think when we look at the decks, we wonder if certain things might be changed going into next week.
Mm-hmm.
But, it mattered when it mattered most. The Druid deck didn't come through for me there in Game 5. I thought we'd be okay with it. But still, it was a very, very entertaining back and forth. And all these traps, man, there was the game earlier where it's like, look, there's a lot of traps. We might have lethal, but it's kind of if this card, if that. And again, this Hunter deck, man, is, I mean, you have to be, you're Game 5. You're going against this Hunter deck one more time. You've taken it down, but it's just like the mental game of constantly battling against it was fantastic.
Yeah, it's definitely something where it's a deck that not only tests you, but it tests your opponent. And that's something that a lot of people kind of forget about Hearthstone, is that you can play this game a lot of different ways, and playing Hunter with secrets, or playing any deck with secrets, can really throw a wrench in what your opponent's doing. And if they're not up to the challenge, you can just steal some free wins sometimes.
I steal all of my wins. Don't really work for them. We got Siena on the line with us. You guys hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Alrighty. Well, this was a long series you guys had, and the resiliency with this Hunter deck. It seemed like things started to get a little rough here through the last game, but there was a moment things started to turn around. Obviously, Zul'jin was very good for you guys. Tell me about the mental fortitude to withhold in this long series, this grueling series, and then, of course, the last game.
Well, the first game, I I misplayed a couple times with a couple spells, I believe. And then, we came back with the other 2 decks, and then for playing through the Hunter, yeah, it was a little bit tough, and Zul'jin was really the way to get out of here, but we were all quietly freaking out just a little bit.
I don't blame you.
Nothing too big.
Yeah, I think everyone was kind of freaking out on both sides of things. And I want to talk to you guys mostly about your Druid list. Your opponents also had something that was kind of not a traditional list. You both forgoed the Zephyrs and Elise the Enlightened package. So tell me, what made you guys settle for your list in particular?
What we do here is we all have each one of us tries expertise in one of the decks. So Kian, he's the one that did a lot of the Druid work, and he pretty much took what he had for choose 1 cards and just tried to make it really aggressive, and in the end it worked out. But if we would have got the late game, it would have been a little scary.
Yeah, it ended up performing. In the mirror match, it did exactly what it needed to. It had more big stompy minions than the opponent, and they couldn't clear him. So good job, guys.
So you guys in a fancy setup there. Talk to me about the esports program there at Siena. It looks like a pretty nice place to be.
Yeah, the esports program is fairly new. I believe this is the 3rd year.
No, second.
Second year.
We were first year.
Yeah, so this is the 2nd year it's been established, and I think the room was donated by one of the sisters at Siena Heights, and I think it was like $100,000 worth or something. But it's all fairly new, and we're still working on getting the reputation built up of the esports program here.
I can tell you the lighting definitely helps. Somebody hit you guys with fluorescent lights there. I thought that was, kind of the reason for the comeback, but then we got the blue lights back. So I think there's some method to the madness there.
Yeah,
you guys got to.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we decided to change it up a little bit. It didn't work, so yeah, we came back.
Wait, the lighting option was your choice?
Yeah, our coach, he's in the back there at his coach's desk, and he was listening to the stream, and he said, "Man, they're just complaining about the lights." And so in between, I think it was game 2, we changed it, and then we just decided this is not working. We just need to fix it, so we went back.
He must be reading Twitch chat, man. We love the lights here on the desk, and we think it looks fantastic. You guys look real good in that room and the jerseys and in your victory today, so congratulations on that. Hey, shout-outs to Siena or anybody else out there you want to make?
Well, I'd like to thank University of Cincinnati. That was a really good game, really well-fought game. Yeah, we're just happy to be playing for Siena and really hoping that in the coming years we can make a good team here for the esports program.
Got a great start, great foundation, and best of luck to you guys going forward.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
I'm pretty sure their coach is a monitor with arms.
It's what it looked like.
Yeah,
I'm glad we cut to a full screen for that right as that came up.
It's all that. That's going to be my image of Siena's coach from now on.
Maybe that was his puzzle box for Yogg back there. That's his version. Just sit in the back and wave his hands around.
Man, today was absolutely spectacular, Jay Howe.
I loved it, man. We had a lot of good action over the last 2 days. If you guys missed it, yesterday was a fantastic day as well, but today rounded out with WPI taking on one of their sister teams, with Crimson taking down Gray. Virginia Tech took down Maryland, and then Cincinnati just fell to Siena Heights, and just an amazing day. That second series lived up to the hype. We knew that they were bringing something crazy. It lived up to it. They even, enjoyed it during the interview. And then we
promised us the same thing next time they're on broadcast. So Virginia Tech, we got to keep an eye out for them, Twitch chat, for sure.
I'm ready. All this wouldn't be possible without our sponsors. Asus, Republic of Gamers. Also, Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of TESPA. Shout out to them to help us keep things going. But week 2 action, I know we spoke on it a little earlier, Heatwave. Definitely some refined decks in week 2, some changes. We were always have the pleasure of talking to these teams after. You can see some of these, they have a thought process, they have an idea of what they want to do, and I think it only gets better from here.
Yeah, I think what this week really demonstrated was that the deck building process is just as important as play. Whether it was a couple cards difference in a few lists, whether or not your deck was laser focused on a certain strategy, or you just kind of included better cards than your opponent, that all mattered. And we saw things like today, Flare, even though it wasn't actually hard drawn, we saw why it was included in the Hunter list for those mirror matches. So game after game after game, all week long, I think that was like the main thing to take away, that it's not just your gameplay. Even if you play great, even if you play perfect, your prep matters just as much.
Stay connected, guys. It's out there. It's available on socials. You can stay connected on facebook.com/Team Tespa, as well as on Twitter @Team Tespa. It's been another amazing week here at the Hearthstone Collegiate Championship, brought to you by Tespa. And I tell you what, man, it's been fun. 2 weeks in a row now, and I feel like I'm in there. Much more enjoyable this week. It's been a fantastic week. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll be back again next Monday and Tuesday. Of course, you can also watch plenty of other Hearthstone action on here. I know I'll be watching Grandmasters this weekend. I'll see you guys there. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.